The Lockheed F-104 Starfighter, forever remembered as the missile with a man in it, remains one of the most striking, innovative, and controversial jet fighters ever built, a machine that simultaneously pushed the frontiers of speed and altitude while exposing the unforgiving consequences of radical design, and its history intertwines aerospace genius, Cold War politics, daring pilot exploits, tragic accident rates, and a legacy that has never truly faded. The origins of the F-104 trace back to the Korean War, when U.S. Air Force pilots found that aircraft such as the F-86 Sabre, though effective, were growing heavy, complex, and less suited for rapid interception of high-speed Soviet MiG fighters, and Clarence Kelly Johnson, head of Lockheed's famed Skunk Works, believed the answer lay not in building bigger, heavier, more multi-role jets but in stripping a fighter down to its essence: minimal size, minimal drag, and maximum thrust, with speed and climb rate prioritized over payload and versatility. In 1952, Johnson's team studied pilot feedback, sketched designs, and proposed a revolutionary aircraft essentially built around the most powerful engine available, the new General Electric J-79 turbojet, which itself was a marvel of engineering, featuring an axial flow compressor with variable stator vanes that gave it efficiency across subsonic, transonic, and supersonic regimes, producing up to 15,600 pounds of thrust with afterburner. And to wrap around this powerplant, Lockheed engineers designed a slender, dart-like fuselage with a pointed shock cone nose housing radar, a single pressurized cockpit under a bubble canopy, and most famously the impossibly small mid-mounted trapezoidal wings, each only 7 feet in span and a mere 4 inches thick at the root, with a total wingspan of 21 feet 11 inches, razor-edged to the point that ground crews had to wear protective guards when working near them, wings that gave almost no lift at low speed but minimized drag at Mach 2. The prototype XF-104 first flew on March 4, 1954, piloted by Tony Levier, and immediately displayed spectacular performance, achieving supersonic speed on its maiden flights, and in 1956 a refined YF-104A demonstrated speeds above Mach 2, convincing the USAF to order production, with the first F-104A entering service in 1958. Early on, the Starfighter set records that thrilled the world, reaching an absolute speed record of 1,404 miles per hour, 2,259 kilometers per hour, and climbing to altitudes over 103,000 feet, feats that solidified its image as the fastest fighter of its generation, yet also revealed the narrow design philosophy that traded endurance and safety margins for performance. In USAF service, the F-104A equipped Air Defense Command squadrons as an interceptor, carrying the new M61 Vulcan 6-barrel 20mm Gatling gun, the first fighter to mount this devastatingly powerful weapon, capable of firing over 6,000 rounds per minute, and AIM-9 Sidewinder heat-seeking missiles on wingtip pylons, while later variants such as the F-104C served Tactical Air Command as fighter bombers, even flying in Vietnam for bomber escort, reconnaissance, and ground attack roles, though their limited range and payload meant they were quickly replaced by more versatile F-4 Phantom IIs. By 1967, the USAF had withdrawn most starfighters from frontline service, but the aircraft's real story was its extraordinary international career. For Lockheed, with U.S. government backing, aggressively marketed the F-104 abroad, securing contracts across NATO and Asia, leading to licensed production in Germany by Messerschmitt Bulco Blohm and Dornier, in Italy by Fiat, in Japan by Mitsubishi, in Canada by Canadair, and final assembly in Belgium and the Netherlands, resulting in a total of 2,578 starfighters built in numerous variants. Germany became the largest operator, ordering over 900 F-104 gigaseconds, a heavily modified multirole variant with strengthened structure, advanced NASARR radar, improved avionics, greater weapons load, and reinforced landing gear, but the Luftwaffe's experience turned infamous, for in the 1960s and 1970s over 270 aircraft were lost and more than 100 pilots killed in crashes, creating a national scandal dubbed the Starfighter Crisis, with newspapers calling it the Widowmaker, and families demanding accountability, though detailed analysis showed the accidents stemmed from multiple causes. The aircraft was repurposed from its original high-altitude interception mission into low-level strike and nuclear delivery in poor weather over Germany's mountainous terrain. Pilots transitioned too quickly from subsonic trainers to the unforgiving F-104 without adequate preparation. The J-79 engines occasionally flamed out in heavy rain, and the thin wing gave virtually no warning before stall, resulting in unrecoverable deep stalls if angle of attack limits were exceeded. Despite this, other nations operated the Starfighter with far fewer losses. Italy flew it successfully for nearly 40 years, upgrading its F-104S models into ASA and ASAM standard with improved radar and compatibility with AIM-7 Sparrow missiles, keeping them in frontline service until 2004. An extraordinary half-century lifespan, Canada's CF-104 served primarily in the nuclear strike role under NATO, optimized for low-level penetration with reduced armament but enhanced navigation systems, though Canadian pilots also suffered losses due to low-altitude missions. Japan's F-104J, built under license by Mitsubishi, served as an interceptor until the 1980s, with over 200 in service, while Turkey, Greece, Spain, Norway, Denmark, Belgium, and the Netherlands all operated starfighters for decades, often receiving upgraded ex-USAF or ex-Luftwaffe aircraft. In Asia, Pakistan became the first country to field supersonic fighters when it received F-104 as in 1961, deploying them in the 1965 Indo-Pakistani War where they achieved both successes and losses, famously downing Indian Mystir IVs and Nats in the first supersonic dogfights of the region but also losing aircraft to Indian MiG-21s and anti-air defenses. And although outnumbered, the psychological impact of Pakistan fielding the Starfighter was immense, establishing a regional technological edge, though by the 1971 war they were aging and fewer in number. Technically the F-104 was a study in extremes. Its fuselage, largely stainless steel and aluminum alloys, was long and thin, optimized for supersonic aerodynamics, with a sharply pointed nose and area-ruled midsection to minimize drag, its cockpit equipped with pressurization, radar scope, basic avionics in early models, later evolving to sophisticated NASAR F-15G radars, inertial navigation, and electronic countermeasures, its canopy providing superb forward vision but limited rearward view. The ejection system evolved from a dangerous downward-firing seat in early F-104s, designed to avoid striking the tall T-tail during bailout, to safer upward-firing Martin-Baker seats in later models after pilots were killed when forced to eject at low altitude. Its undercarriage was narrow and tall, necessary to clear the fuselage and wings but treacherous on wet or rough runways. Performance figures dazzled. Maximum speed Mach 2.2, 1,450 miles per hour, service ceiling 58,000 feet, initial climb rates over 60,000 feet per minute, combat radius around 420 miles with internal fuel, ferry range 1,630 miles with drop tanks, but these came at the price of endurance, with internal fuel lasting mere minutes at afterburner. Weapons fit included the Vulcan cannon, 2 to 4 sidewinders, underwing, and centerline pylons for bombs, rockets, and tactical nuclear weapons like the B-57 or B-43, and in F-104S models, semi-active radar-guided Sparrows, giving it a credible interceptor role. The J-79 engine, while powerful, was temperamental, prone to compressor stalls and smoke trails in early versions, though later improvements reduced these flaws. Aerodynamically the F-104 excelled in supersonic flight, with lightning acceleration, blistering roll rates exceeding 360 degrees per second, and superb stability at high speed, but at low speeds it was unforgiving, with little lift, high approach speeds over 180 knots, and a vicious stall that could flip the aircraft into a deep stall unrecoverable without altitude, a danger that claimed many lives. Pilot accounts describe it as exhilarating at high speed yet terrifying at low, demanding precision and discipline, a hot rod with wings that rewarded skill and punished mistakes. Beyond combat service, the Starfighter also contributed to aerospace research. NASA operated several F-104s into the 1990s as high-speed chase planes and testbeds, with famous astronauts including Neil Armstrong flying them for high-altitude practice before X-15 and space missions, proving the jet's adaptability as a research platform. Politically, the aircraft became mired in scandal in the 1970s when it was revealed that Lockheed had paid millions in bribes to secure foreign contracts in Germany, Italy, Japan, and the Netherlands, revelations that brought down governments, including Japanese Prime Minister Kakuei Tanaka, and tainted the aircraft's legacy with accusations of corruption even as it remained operationally indispensable. Over its lifetime, variants proliferated. The F-104A was the original interceptor, the F-104B A2C trainer, the F-104CA fighter bomber for TAC, the F-104DA trainer, the F-104FA German trainer, the F-104G the definitive NATO strike fighter, the RF-104GA reconnaissance version, the F-104JA Japanese interceptor, the F-104DJ its trainer, the CF-104 Canada's nuclear strike version, the F-104S Italy's upgraded Sparrow-capable interceptor, and the ASA-M upgrades with modern avionics, ECM, and compatibility with AIM-120M ROM, though only Italy pursued the last upgrades. Operational combat use beyond Vietnam and South Asia included Turkish and Greek starfighters in NATO tensions, though large-scale combat was rare, as the jet's role was more strategic deterrence, particularly nuclear strike for NATO. By the 1980s, most nations replaced their starfighters with F-16s, Tornadoes, and F-4s, but Italy kept them flying until 2004, marking the end of an era. In total, the F-104 served in over a dozen countries, accumulated thousands of flying hours, set numerous records, and influenced generations of pilots. Its legacy remains dual. On one hand, a breathtaking symbol of speed, elegance, and Cold War ambition, a technological marvel that broke records and served for half a century. On the other, a cautionary tale of design compromises, high accident rates, and political scandal. Yet no one denies its impact. Pilots still speak of its unmatched thrill, aviation enthusiasts admire its needle-like silhouette, and historians note its unique role in Cold War strategy. For the Lockheed F-104 Starfighter was not just another fighter but a bold experiment in pushing the edge of possibility, a jet that demanded respect, embodied both triumph and tragedy, and remains etched in history as one of the most unforgettable aircraft ever to take to the skies.